Welcome to this first video for Java. Here is a very bad picture of a car. Most of us can drive a car, and using the car is nice and simple, right? You just need to know how to use the steering wheel and basically the pedals, okay? But what's interesting is if you take the analogy that a car is like a piece of software built out of code, the analogy sort of works here quite well, that everyone can use their apps and software. That's not a problem for most of us. You know, you need some training, but it's not a huge issue. But when you learn to write and create software, a really crucial part of the process is to go under the hood. So if you imagine this is the front of the car, there's our person sitting there. That's the front of our car. Obviously, there is an engine and a whole machine of connections that run in the body of the car, in the chassis. You, when you use it, just need to know how to use it, right? But to understand how the car works, you need to go under the hood. So the idea here in these sessions are really to encourage you to see that what we're going to do when we learn Java in these particular sessions is the purpose of going under the hood. Now that has certain implications for how we're approaching this material. Typically in programming courses, you tend to have exercises, you do the exercises, and then you have some kind of assessment. Depending on whether you're learning to code practically or otherwise, you might have more theory and you might have, more practice or practicals, right? So you get this balance of theory and practice. You've got code to write. It's built around a bunch of exercises given every single week to the student, leading to and leading up to some kind of bigger assessment, piece of coursework perhaps, or something like that. What we've attempted in this particular module is to abandon this style of approach and learn programming critically and analytically. That means that we are not supplying you with a whole bunch of exercises that you do every week and that satisfies your sense that you're working your way through it. We supply you with problems, questions, and tasks. And we explore how we solve those problems and what's involved in solving those problems. We are going under the hood. So this is as much a skill at thinking analytically with code as it is a process of just writing lots of code. For this module on a weekly basis, at most you will only have 3 classes. So you'll have something like a node class, you'll have something which will manage that node class, and you'll have something to test these as objects. And in here you'll have a main method. And so the idea is very, very simply, a node class will store certain points within your code. They link to each other, so you can have a whole chain of them, but they're held together by some kind of manager class. The way they're held together and the way they link together defines different data structures. And some of the data structures that you can build from here are arrays. You can build lists, you can build queues, you can build maps, and so on and so forth. In the main Java file, whatever you call the actual file itself, as long as it has the main method, you'll create objects. You'll create an object of your manager class. You'll create nodes. You'll build these data structures, and then you will move through them. You'll do all kinds of things. You might be sorting them. You might be adding to them to whatever data structure, removing items. And you'll basically be practically exploring a whole range of variations. So we will cover the stack, we will cover a list, and we will cover a map. When we arrive at the map, we end up having not just one node linked to one, but having a split. So you have two links inside each node class. Now, at this stage, what you need to understand is that this is only a flavor of the concepts. Let's just come down to back to a couple of practical issues here. First of all, the platform we're using. We are recommending using IntelliJ, mainly because it's an integrated IDE. For students, the community version is free. And if later on you want to build a user interface and you want to build a mobile app for your assessment, Android Studio is just a project type in IntelliJ. So it helps you integrate those two things very, very well. What else should I just say is to finish off, to round off this introductory stuff? I think that's pretty much it. I would just encourage you to understand that the written material that accompanies these video lectures, the written material, the style of the written material is almost like a blog, and it's conversational, and it's deliberately written in a style that is allows and encourages discussion. It is very, very important that you don't see this as some kind of formal method of learning. This is not a formal method of learning code. It is a discursive method. A discursive means the method of learning the code is engaging in conversation, discussing the problems, critically engaging the material. So this is the critical element. The formal method is not really critical here, and the view is that the discursive will encourage your critical development, your thinking skills along the way. Very quickly, that's why should we have a different approach? And it will be, I suspect, unfamiliar to quite a few of you who've grown up with the old model of, how did I put it? Exercises leading to assessments, and code mixed with theory and thing. This is an older style. What we're trying to do by engaging you critically is that the material we'll supply will be more discursive. It engages the problem, unfolds it, discusses it, turns it over, and you need to do the same thing. And it's less about lines of code that you're writing, but you will have to write lines of code, and it's more about deepening and improving and building your understanding of what's going on under the hood. So from this video, I would encourage you to take forward the idea that this is critical to what we are up to. Okay, understanding code requires you writing it and thinking about it. Okay, not simply just doing a bunch of exercises every week, ticking a box when you feel that you've done it and that satisfies you.